I'm highly honored in welcoming and introducing our next esteemed guest, Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati ji. She is a renowned motivational speaker and best-selling author, providing spiritual services, wisdom teaching, sacred actions, and deep spiritual practices. Presently living at Paramatniketan in Rishikesh, India, but originally from Los Angeles and a graduate from Stanford University. She is a Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance, President of Divine Shakti Foundation, and Director of the famous International Yoga Festival. She has spoken at several United Nations events, including with the Secretary General and Deputy Secretary General of the UN. She has been featured at many renowned news networks such as CNN, New York Times, Discovery Channel, BBC, etc. Sadhvi ji has received numerous national and international awards. She serves on United Nations Faith Advisory Council on Religion, the Steering Committee for Partnership for Religion and Sustainable Development, and the Steering Committee for the World Bank United Nations. Sadhvi ji is the author of the books By God's Grace, a biography of her Guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswati ji, and Come Home to Yourself. She gives daily spiritual discourses, teaches meditation, provides spiritual counseling and mentoring, and oversees myriad charitable and humanitarian projects and activities at Paramatniketan. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati ji.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful joy to be together with you all, and especially to be together in this beautiful theme, the overall theme of our united consciousness, the theme these days all over the world of International Yoga Day that is just about to happen on the 21st, but where all over the world, all of these beautiful International Yoga Day events are already happening. And then the theme for this particular session of the joy of life through Bhakti. Because all of these are actually connected. Bhakti is that which unites us, connects us to the divine, to ourselves, our highest self, and of course, to all. Here's an easy way to think about why Bhakti is important. Imagine in your house, if you're married, let's pick a spouse, otherwise it could be a parent or a child. And imagine that with that close person, the person you share your home with, the person you're closest to, imagine that you don't really have any kind of relationship. Like, yeah, you live together. Yeah, you share a space, you share a refrigerator. Sometimes maybe even you share meals, but there's no love, there's no connection, there's no actual relationship other than just two people occupying the same four walls and a roof. Now, imagine how sad, lonely, aimless, meaningless your life at home would feel. You wouldn't have any eagerness to come home at the end of the day. You wouldn't have any sense of joy and connection to home because there's no love, there's no connection, there's no oneness, there's no meaning, there's no juice. In Hindi we say ras, means that juiciness of life. The ras is like the boiled down essence. If you're making a dish you're cooking beautiful food, you're making a dish on the stove and you've got a sauce and you keep boiling the sauce, keep boiling it so it gets richer and richer and richer and richer. That's what we call ras, that juice that actually makes your vegetables taste so much better. And it's that juice that makes our life juicy. So imagine that you're in this situation in your home. No love, no connection, no juice, no ras. How you're going to feel about your home life? Not very good. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine that at home, there is someone you love so deeply and who loves you so deeply. And you are so connected to that when you're together, you don't even want to be separate for 2 seconds. Always you're together. And that love just flows and flows and such a oneness. Now think about how you're going to feel about your home life. How you're going to feel about coming home at the end of the day. See suddenly where there's all that excitement, all that eagerness, all that yearning. Have to go home to be with my beloved. Now, everything else is the same. Same house, same car, same job, same furniture, same everything, same bank account, same physical body. Everything is exactly the same in these two circumstances. The only difference is your connection with the being with whom you share your home. And the difference in that turns your home life from heaven to hell or hell to heaven. That is bhakti. Because our connection with God, see, with your husband or your wife or your parents or your children, it may only be in the home. You're separate from them all day long. So even if it's bad, it's only the hours you're in the house, many of which presumably you're sleeping. But with God, God is with us 24/7, all day long. Wherever you go, you're at home, you're in the office, you're in the grocery store, God is with you. So that home becomes the home of your own inner being. It becomes a home that you carry with yourself wherever you go. Now imagine that connection with the one you share your home life with is very fika, very, very empty, very dry. It's not going to feel very good inside you. You're not going to feel interested or yearning to go within, to be with yourself, because you know there's nothing there. It's just dry, empty. So you're going to spend your life depressed, anxious, frustrated, constantly trying not to be in your inner home. Because there's no love, there's no joy, there's no connection. But now imagine that your inner home is filled with love, filled with connection, filled with oneness, filled with juice. That is what bhakti brings us. That juice of life in our inner world. So this is why bhakti is so important. But remember also, as we're talking about International Yoga Day, that bhakti is yoga. Bhakti is not separate from yoga. Sadly, when we think about yoga, most of us think only about the asanas. How limber are you? How flexible are you? How strong are you? Can you stand in Shirshasana for how long on your head? But yoga means union. Uniting. Now, if you ask most people what they're uniting in yoga, sadly, most people will say, well, I'm trying to unite my fingers to my toes or my fingers to the ground, or I'm trying to unite my nose to my knees. But actually, yoga is the union of this self, this individual self that is born, that changes, that dies, with the divine self, the higher self, the true self, the supreme self. You can call it God. You can call it the divine. You can call it consciousness. You can call it higher self. You can call it love. But yoga is the connection of this individual small s self, this identity, with my capital S self, my true self, my divine self, the divine. And it's a union with the creator, the divine creator, and with all of creation. So yoga connects us to all. Now, Bhakti Yoga is the way of getting united through love. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives us 3 beautiful paths into ultimate divine union. The path of bhakti, love or devotion. The path of jnana, wisdom, knowledge. And the path of karma, action. But here's what's so beautiful. They actually weave into each other. So if you begin with bhakti, which many people, as well as many teachings, emphasize is probably the easiest way in. If you begin with bhakti, begin with loving the divine, then what happens is the more you love God, well, then the more you want to know about God, right? I mean, think about when you fall in love with someone. So you fall in love, and then what do? You stay awake all night long talking. Tell me about your childhood. Do you have brothers or sisters? What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Where do you dream about going on holiday? What do you want to be when you grow up? Or if you're already grown up, what do you love about your life? What are you looking to find more deeply? We spend all night long trying to find out more and more about that person because we're in love. And then, of course, the more you love someone, well, the more you serve them. If your loved one is sick in bed, you're going to bring them whatever they need. If the loved one in bed says, even if they're not sick, if the loved one in bed says, could you bring me a glass of water? You're not going to say, go and get it yourself. You'll say, sure, because you love them. So out of bhakti automatically stems jnana and automatically stems karma. So it actually gives us this beautiful confluence, this beautiful sangam of all of those paths of yoga given to us in the Bhagavad Gita. But we begin with this love because the truth is that love feels so great. The problem that people face that I get asked all the time is, how do we begin to cultivate this love of God? How do we begin to cultivate this bhakti, this shraddha, faith in God? So, 2 quick ways. Number 1, in terms of cultivating love for God, simply recognize that everyone on earth, everything on earth has been created by the divine and of the divine. That actually the creation is sacred. Now, if the creation is sacred, if everyone and everything on earth has been created of the divine and is divine, then what that means is whoever you love, you're actually loving God. If you really love someone, not lust. Lust is just wanting their bodies. But if you really love them, any time of day, regardless of what they look like, whether they do what you want, don't do what you want, got a nice haircut, got an ugly haircut, look beautiful, don't look beautiful, are being nice to you or not being nice to you, are bringing home money or not bringing home money. If you really love them in all circumstances, then what you are loving in them is the divine, is God, because each of our essence is the divine. And so if you're loving someone's essence rather than just their form, what you're loving is God. So if you're having trouble closing your eyes and finding love in your heart for God, either in a formless way or in the form of any of those in your religion and your tradition, don't worry. Just love anyone, but love them really, love them fully, love their essence. And what you'll be loving is God. Through loving that person, through focusing on their essence, when you look at them, instead of seeing their haircut or their body or what they're bringing you, see the divine in them. Look in their eyes and see their essence, feel their essence. That's God. And in terms of strengthening that faith, keeping that love alive, remember that God is not a vending machine. A lot of us lose our love for God, lose our faith in God because we wanted something and it didn't happen. You know, people say, oh, well, I used to be really devoted and I prayed to God all the time, but then this tragedy happened. Then this thing that I really wanted in my life, I didn't get it. Or this thing that I really did not want to happen, this horrible tragedy, it happened. So now I'm not loving God anymore. I'm not devoted to God anymore. But the root of that, this ignorance, is that God is somehow your vending machine. That you just put in your metaphoric money through your prayers, through your japa, through your devotion, through whatever you do. And that somehow, when you push the button for what you want, God should give it to you. But God is not a vending machine. And so if you have lost love for God or lost faith in God because something you wanted didn't happen or something you didn't want did happen, just remember, the universe is not giving us what we are asking for. It's giving us what we need in order to experience our unfolding, our awakening, in order for us to get closer and closer to the divine, to that experience of the divine in us. And yeah, a lot of times it's struggle, it's challenge, it's difficulty. I'll conclude with just this beautiful, beautiful teaching from Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas, after the war of the Mahabharata, after everything. Bhagwan Krishna says to her, Kunti, ask anything, whatever you want. Let me give you some boon. You've been through so much struggle, so much grief. Let me give you something. What does she ask for? She actually asks that lifetime after lifetime, she should actually keep having struggles and challenges. Because she says, what I have noticed to Bhagwan Krishna, she says, is that when everything is going very well, you seem very far from me. But when I am in my darkest time, in my most difficult times, you are right there. So our challenges, our struggles are those that bring us closer to God. So allow yourself, regardless of whether you think that God has given you what you want or not, allow that love to blossom in your heart. And again, begin with love for others. And slowly, 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 it'll bring you to love God. Start loving the trees. Look at the trees, how they give us fruit and oxygen and water. Look at the flowers, how they give us fragrance. Love them. Love the sunset. Love nature. As you love more and more in the creation, you'll find that slowly, 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 you start to love the Creator. And when that love is there in your life, then that ras, that juice, flows through not only the hours that you're in your physical house, but it flows through you 24/7 in your inner home with the beloved, the divine. Thank you so much for this beautiful time to be together with you today. And I look so forward to spending more and more time with you in the future, and open-hearted and open-armed invitations to all of you to come home to the banks of Mother Ganga, to the lap of the Himalayas, to Rishikesh, to Parmarth Nikatan. And it will be so wonderful to meet all of you here in this beautiful paradise on the banks of Mother Ganga.
Thank you, respected Sadhvi ji. It is so blissful to listen what you said today. In fact, if whole endeavor of International Yoga Week has to be summarized, then your words are most appropriate to summarize this whole United Consciousness Yoga Week. So beautifully you said, without bhakti, there is no rasa in life. Life appears, as the word you use, fika. And so aptly you said that bhakti is the foundation of all paths of yoga, whether it is jnana or karma. It is not connecting nose to knees, rather connecting my lower self to higher self. And the ways you provided to start bhakti is to see divine in everything, and not treating and seeing God as a vending machine. And like Kunti, always respect struggles because it brings us near to our true nature and we get into the right questions of life. So, thank you so much for having summarized Bhakti Yoga in so much less time. We are so blessed. Thank you for keep blessing us always.
Of course, and thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity and for putting together this beautiful program.
Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati ji for coming on to the platform of United Consciousness and sharing her views. Thank you so much.